Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And just want to talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints. Want to talk a little bit about free agency, what I see so far, and also the state of the NFC South right now. It's looking really, really good. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone that checked out the State of the Saints podcast, Facebook and YouTube live on last night. We took some calls and we talked a little bit about the New Orleans Saints. In fact, a lot of people wanted to know, what I thought about Tom Brady signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and also Teddy Bridgewater with the Carolina Panthers. So there's a lot going on with the New Orleans Saints, not so much when it comes to free agency, but when it comes to a lot of decisions needing to be made. This is right here. Some tough decisions are going to have to be made from the New Orleans Saints. A couple guys that probably are going to end up getting let go. I mean, we saw that A.J. Klein got signed with the Buffalo Bills. Teddy Bridgewater, of course, in Carolina. We got Von Bell. Nobody knows what he's going to do. From what I hear, the Carolina Panthers are interested in him as well. And, the Saints still have some unanswered questions at key positions like the linebacker position. And, the question is, are they satisfied with what they have? Are they satisfied with the combination of players that they have, accumulated at the linebacker position and also in the secondary? So I'm looking down this list, and before I start with this list, of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about the NFC South, but I'm looking down this list, and I got to tell you, man, some very interesting names, and I can see that the New Orleans Saints can get these guys, and these guys can be key contributors to the success of the New Orleans Saints. But let's go ahead and start and talk a little bit about the NFC South. We have not had a official signing yet, but Tom Brady, it looks like he's going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know a lot of people in the Buccaneers, nation or whatever they call themselves. They're excited right now because, there's not much to be excited about in Tampa these days. I mean, they canceled WrestleMania, which was supposed to be in Tampa. And, now you get some good news. And the good news is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and a lot of people consider the greatest quarterback of all time, is now going to be signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have struggled over the years, have not made the playoffs, and God knows how long. I got to say about 13 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think the last time they went to the playoffs was in 2007. Jeff Garcia was their quarterback. That's a long, that's a long time for a team to go without being in the playoffs and some winning seasons. But I heard, according to Vegas, I think the Super Bowl chances of Tampa was like 40-1, and now that they signed, Tom Brady, the chances are now 22-1. So that goes to show you how Tom Brady plays a huge role in success and what people think about Tom Brady as a quarterback. But me personally, I just think that the media just need to cut that noise out. They need to stop with the nonsense. The fact that they're trying to make people believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a better football team than the New Orleans Saints right now just because they signed Tom Brady. The only thing I would have to say to people like that is, man, hold your horses, slow your roll, okay? I mean, come on, man. There's levels to this right now. And I can understand that they got Tom Brady and people consider him as being one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But, honestly, I'm not buying what they selling. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buying what they selling. They got to prove it to me on the field. There's so many times that I see guys, they go out here and they get these key names, these big names, these superstar type guys, and all of a sudden, the team don't work out. I think we seen that a couple years ago with the Philadelphia Eagles. We seen that with Philly, and they got like people like Vince Young and Nnamdi Asomugha. Then they had Michael Vick and all these different players, who were stars at one time or another on different teams. And then when they get together, I mean, it was an absolute disaster. I'm hearing that they're thinking about trading to try to get Ty Gurley and Brandon Cooks, thinking about sending Chris Godwin to the Los Angeles Rams. and a first-round pick. I don't know how true that is. I mean, that was just a source that I read, but I just know that you don't win no Super Bowls by just accumulating no talent, you know what I'm saying, and maxing out the checkbook. You know, I think that you build through the draft. I think that it takes guys time in order for them to develop chemistry, and I think that's something that works in the favor of the New Orleans Saints. They're a young football team, you know, all things considered, but these guys have come into the league at the exact same time, and they have been through trials and tribulations, and also, man, they grew together. So I think anytime you have guys on the same team for X amount of time, chemistry is going to come into play. And I think that works in the New Orleans Saints' favor. So for all those people out there that's been talking, acting like Tampa Bay Buccaneers about to go to the Super Bowl all of a sudden, that they got Tom Brady, slow your roll, man. You know, I see Tampa Bay fans trying to infiltrate the State of the Saints podcast, want to poke their head out like a golfer inside of a golf hole. You know, if, you know, you watched, Caddyshack back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you know, they want to poke their heads out right now and want to talk noise and want to talk like, you know, like they ain't been losing over the past couple of years, and they just been the basement dwellers, you know, for the past 13 years. But I mean, it's cool, man. You know, I mean, I understand the excitement. I mean, I would be excited too. I would be excited to know that Tom Brady is going to be playing on my team if I didn't have a quarterback since, I don't know, Doug Williams or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, congratulations to him. But, I mean, you got to play the games, you know. And another thing about some of these Saints fans, I got to get on us too, man. All these people talking about, man, well, last year they ain't have a secondary. Well, last year they ain't have a running game. Get last year out of your mind, okay? Get last year out of your mind, because last year does not matter. And the New Orleans Saints, I get all type of inboxes. I get all type of comments, people commenting down below, people talking about what we need to do. We trying to improve. We ain't got the secondary we need. We don't run the ball enough. We ain't got the running back. The running game ain't been the same since Mark Ingram. Linebackers always getting hurt. What do you think other teams trying to do? They're trying to improve their team too. So the Saints aren't the only team that's trying to improve and trying to make it to the Super Bowl. So you got to completely suspend all that stuff out of your mind. Okay? I am not going to acknowledge what happened last year anymore. If you still holding your hat on last year, you're wasting your time. Okay? You are wasting your time. I'm telling you right now, I would not acknowledge that, because it's all about what's going on this year. Okay? There's a completely different Saints team. There's a completely different Buccaneers team. There's going to be a completely different Falcons and Panthers team. And if people cannot see that, you're living in the past. And that's something that we need to stop doing. We got to stop living in the past. We got to stop talking all this noise just because we had some success over the past couple years. Teams get better every single year. And we see teams like, for example, we see the Green Bay Packers. They were 13-3, suspect 13-3. But nevertheless, they were 13-3. And before that, they didn't even make the playoffs. They were a train wreck. Train wreck so bad that they ended up firing Mike McCarthy in the process in the middle of the season. I mean, so they went out here and got Matt LaFleur. So don't tell me that it's about last year. Teams get better every single year. Okay? So get that out of your mind. We all happy what the Saints have done over the past couple of years. Could get a Super Bowl up in that thing somewhere. But nevertheless, we still satisfied, all things considered. But I don't want to hear anything about next year, man. I don't want to hear anything about next year. I don't want to hear anything about, last year. I don't want to hear anything about last year. If you're talking last year, I'm going to stroll past your comment, okay? And another thing, you know, I know I'm ranting right now, but this needs to get said. There's a guy who a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation do not like, okay? His name is Nickell RobeyColeman. I'm pretty sure y'all know who Nickell RobeyColeman is. Nickell RobeyColeman is the guy who hit Tommy Lee Lewis, and they didn't call a pass interference call on him, that, you know, the controversial non-call. He was the guy, okay? He was the guy that hit Tommy Lee Lewis. So the Rams decide that they don't want to bring this guy back. Nickell RobeyColeman, according to Pro Football Focus, has a 75. A 75 is really high at a slot corner position. I mean, it's pretty obvious the Saints are most likely not going to bring back P.J. Williams because he smoked like brisket, burnt like a biscuit every single game. Why not go out here and get Nickell RobeyColeman? The responses that I'm getting have absolutely nothing to do with the way this guy plays on the field. Man, he cost us the Super Bowl. Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? I don't care if he did cost the Saints the Super Bowl. That was his job. His job was to stop the Saints from going to the Super Bowl because he played for the opposite team. If this guy can land with the New Orleans Saints, I'll be happy about it. I will be happy about it. And you know the crazy thing about it is, y'all talk like that, but y'all not talking about Latavius Murray like that when he signed, right? You're not talking about him. You're not talking about when Latavius Murray signed with the New Orleans Saints. Latavius Murray was part of that Minnesota Miracle team. You know, we're not talking about that, are we? People just need to stop wearing their emotions on their sleeve and realize that the NFL is a business. It is a business, okay? It's about business. It's about getting the right guys inside of your locker room that can contribute to the success of your team. And if you up here still talking about the controversial non-call and not signing a guy because he made a play and they didn't call it, the referees didn't call it, man, please. Like, man, you're looking at football completely the wrong way. So that's my little rant about fans, man. Y'all got to cut that out. Not everybody. I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm talking about some of y'all out there. I don't care. Like, as much as I don't like Devontae Freeman, if the Saints were to sign Devontae Freeman and he can contribute to the team, I would be satisfied with it because it's about winning games. I don't know about y'all. Maybe I'm tripping, but I'm just tired of the Saints not getting over the hump, okay? And the problem is we're so fixated on, no, we don't need to get this guy. No, we don't need to get this guy. No, we don't need to get this guy. Start looking at some of these stats. I'm hearing people talk about Malcolm Jenkins because of what he did in the Saints uniform. Dude is a completely different safety. This dude has went away, developed, got better as a tackler, became better as a leader, and I felt like he would be a good leader in the locker room. I mean, y'all have to understand, man, the problems that the Saints had between 2012 and 2015 is because they didn't have leadership in the locker room. You need good players, but you also need those veteran leaders in there to steer these young players in the right direction. You need that. And I don't understand how people can say on one hand, oh, Alvin Kamara, he not the same since Mark Ingram left. He not the same because Mark Ingram was his mentor. We can say that on one hand, but we can't acknowledge the fact that you need veteran leadership in your locker room? Are y'all kidding me? That makes absolutely no sense. Malcolm Jenkins, if the Saints do not sign Von Bell, Malcolm Jenkins would be a very credible replacement. You already got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Have y'all watched this guy play? Have y'all watched this young man play? When Von Bell was hurt for those 3 games, did y'all watch C.J. Gardner-Johnson play? Did y'all see him basically win the game against the Tennessee Titans when he hit Ty Sharp? You know, when he knocked Ty Sharp out, you know what I'm saying, and he picked up the fumble. He had enough football sense to pick the ball up in the process. I feel like this guy is an elevation from Von Bell. If you get him and you get somebody that's a veteran, that's a leader, like Malcolm Jenkins, definitely, I'm about that. I ain't trying to hear nothing about, man, you know, he 32 years old. Man, back in the day when he was with the Saints, he couldn't tackle. Man, take a look at Malcolm Jenkins in a Eagles uniform. Please look at him. Dude is a completely different player. People change. People develop. People get better. And I think that we have to start really focusing on these guys. Like, go and do research on it, okay? I mean, do research on these players. Don't just fall for the sexy names. Like, if we don't hear a sexy name or a guy that we don't recognize, all of a sudden, man, I don't know about that. We didn't know about Demario Davis. We didn't know how good Demario Davis was going to be in a Saints uniform. And in 2006, y'all lying if you say you did. You didn't know how good Drew Brees was going to be. But those guys earn our respect through the play on the field. Start doing your research. Start going out here looking at some of these guys, man, and see that these guys are contributing. Some guys are not going to always get the ball if they weren't the primary receiver on their team. Sometimes the guys have to go away in order for teams to, respect their abilities, in order for them to make plays. So do your research. Don't just say, man, I put a pitch up here, and I know some of y'all probably don't really be analyzing it. As soon as a person's face comes up, 2 seconds later, no, we don't need him. How? You don't even know what he can contribute. So how would you know that? I'm not picking on everybody. I'm just picking on some of y'all because some of y'all need to hear this. I'm not saying that I'm right all the time. I'm not saying that everything that I'm talking about when it comes to the Saints is correct. But, I do try to analyze and give y'all the best I can possibly can with knowledge of the New Orleans Saints. I don't just be pulling people out of my behind and be like, man, okay. I don't do anything for shock value, folks. It's really true dialogue that I want from individuals. I want people to think how this person can contribute to the team, okay? Leadership is very, very important. Locker room leadership is very, very important. Being a coach out there on the field is very, very important. And you're probably wondering to yourself why, some of these coaches don't want to get rid of some of these guys that have been with the organization 9 and 10 years. That's because the locker room respects those guys. That's because they can put those young players in place to succeed, even if they don't have the skills and abilities they once had when they were in their youth. That's what you need. That's what you need. So I know I went on a little rant, but like I said, some people needed to hear that. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions for a few minutes and see what y'all have to say. Shouts out to Casey. I think this is the first question I have. Do you think Saints will re-sign Malcolm Jenkins? Malcolm Jenkins has a very huge chance, Casey, of being back with the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton went on record and saying that was the biggest mistake he ever made in the 13 years of him being with the New Orleans Saints. At the time, I think when they played them in 2018, that's when the Saints beat up on them, I think, for like 48-7 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. He said it was one of the biggest mistakes that he made in his career, allowing Malcolm Jenkins to leave. So he has a lot of respect for Malcolm. He wants Malcolm Jenkins, in my opinion, to be a part of the Saints organization. I think Malcolm Jenkins ends up joining the Saints if Von Bell doesn't re-sign. That's what I feel like is going to happen. I think that Malcolm Jenkins would be a good addition to the New Orleans Saints, in the later stages of his career, because I think I say this all the time. One person that reminds me of Malcolm Jenkins, a young Malcolm Jenkins, is Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams reminds me so much of Malcolm Jenkins. And I feel like if Malcolm Jenkins was to come to the Saints organization, he wraps his arms around Marcus Williams and become a mentor to him, y'all might see a different Marcus Williams. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't mind Cam Newton signing with the Saints, but with Brees' new 2-year deal, that ain't going to happen. Nelson, that's a possibility. There's a possibility that can happen. I'll tell you why. See, we look at the 2-year, $50 million contract. That second year, in my opinion, is probably a dummy year. The Saints probably signed Drew Brees, probably gave him a really large contract signing bonus. And, I think that second year is basically like a dummy year. He's probably not going to get a whole bunch of money in that second year. It's probably that first year is where he's going to get the majority of his money. Cam Newton can come to the New Orleans Saints if Cam Newton decides that he wants to, honestly, I don't think Cam Newton is where he needs to be personally. I think that if the Carolina Panthers release him, if he backs up Drew Brees, that gives him an opportunity to be healthy. Sit on a bench, get better. And who knows, you could possibly end up being the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, or you felt like you're well enough to go out there and test the free agent market and sign with another team. I think it's a possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen. Knowing Cam Newton, as long as I've been watching him, I know this guy has an ego. He still feels like he can play the game of football. He still feels like, he still has what it takes to be. Oh, excuse me. I got my hand on the keyboard. Anyway, I think he still can be a starting quarterback in the league. And, I don't think that he's humble enough to just sit on the bench. I don't think he'd be willing to take that demotion. How you feel about our line, man? You think we need to get better? Let's see. If you talking about the offensive line, are you talking about the offensive line, Vincent? I know it's been a while since you asked that question, but if you're talking about the offensive line, I mean, you can always improve on the offensive line. You know, the offensive line, you definitely can get better with the line. I think that they probably need like one more guard, especially with Andrews Pete leaving. I think that you can get a little bit better in that regards. Also, I think that you probably can get somebody like a backup tackle if you can't sign Cameron Tom, which I feel like he's probably going to go out here and probably get some a big contract and make him a starter in the league. But I think they do need another offensive line, a guard, or something like that. Let's see. He's a top nickel slot back in the league, better than P-Rob and P.J. Williams. Yep, he is. Right, he ran 2 touchdowns on us that game. You talking about Latavius Murray. Let me stroll down a little bit, man, because, I mean, I went on a rant. Hold on, man. Let me get up out of here. I think my station manager, he ended up dialing in remotely, doing some work in there. So y'all excuse me for a second. Let me walk to my office. Man, shouts out to everybody, that's a part of the chat right now. Let me go ahead and get into my office, man, and so we can talk a little bit more. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, man, it's crazy right now. I'm actually the only person at the radio station right now because of, all the stuff going on with COVID-19. We're doing a social distancing thing. We got the production manager. He's across the street at our other building. We got the general manager. He's doing work from his house. I mean, it's crazy right now. So y'all excuse me, man. Sorry I had to walk. Y'all had to see me walking and stuff like that. But nevertheless, back to the questions. Is resigning Norris Jenkins the right move? Aaron, absolutely that's the right move. Absolutely that's the right move. That is definitely the right move. If you can sign back Janoris Jenkins, that would be huge for the New Orleans Saints, man. Janoris Jenkins just got better and better every single week. And what made me really like this guy, I'm going to just be 100% honest with you. What made me really like this guy was the fact that he didn't start in the first game. He just came in and he started making plays. So that tells me right there, this guy can really be good once he gets acclimated to the defense. I haven't heard anything about Janoris Jenkins, signing elsewhere. I haven't heard anybody trying to get Janoris Jenkins. I haven't heard Janoris Jenkins going anywhere else or somebody trying to go after him. So that's a plus. Okay, that means that, one, I think there's some kind of type of understanding with the New Orleans Saints. Or two, I don't know. He just decides that he wants to be a Saint next season. So I think he may like the team, and I think because I haven't heard anything, I'm just going to say that they're going to get something done. Newton to the Broncos. Yeah, I kind of like that move, Jared. We know that the Denver Broncos are known to try to go get a free agent or a quarterback every now and then. But Cam Newton got to go to the right situation, man. Cam Newton got to go to the right situation. Cam Newton can't be like, he is on Instagram, being mad at the world, I mean, I can understand it, man, because we all know that franchises are quick to try to turn, the fan base against a player, but nobody ever looks at the franchise. So Cam Newton, I think it was wrong for them to do what they did to him, but it is a business, but he has to go to the right situation, man. He can't just go to a team out of spite just to say, well, y'all don't want me, so I'm going to be a starting quarterback somewhere else. I mean, you can mess around and mess up your career going to the wrong situation. You can really injure yourself because you don't have the right pieces in place in order for you to, get no type of success. So hopefully, he makes the right decision. Let's see. Newton to the Broncos, I already read that. Who's going to be Drew's backup? It's going to be Taysom Hill, Who's going to back Drew up? Yeah, Taysom Hill's going to be his backup. That's just what it is. They might end up signing a guy or drafting a guy, but Taysom Hill is the Taysom Hill is the backup quarterback, man. Bleacher Report just said Saints are closing the deal with MJ. MJ. Oh, Malcolm Jenkins. Okay, yeah. I just saw that Jenkins and Saints are closing the deal. Yep. I'm right sometimes, folks. You know, I'm right sometimes. You know, I'm right sometimes. I'm gonna pat myself on the back, man, because every now and then you gotta pat yourself on the back when you call something and it comes into fruition. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one, because people always, man, you crazy, you tripping, man, you don't know what you talking about, bruh. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm patting myself on the back, straight up. Taysom in the wild card game was phenomenal. Yep. Yeah, he really stepped up, Kimberly. He was the best quarterback on the field. He was better than Kirk Cousins that day. He was better than Drew Brees that day. He definitely stepped up. So he did a lot of things, man. And in my opinion, as hungry and as intelligent as he is, he's only going to get better. Saints have ran with only 2 quarterbacks on the roster. But see, that's the thing. We never had a dynamic like this, my friend. We never had a dynamic like Taysom Hill before. You know, so you ran with 2 quarterbacks on the roster because they were 2 traditional quarterbacks. Okay, they were 2 traditional type quarterbacks. What's the reason why? Okay, but Taysom Hill is not your traditional quarterback. He can do so many different things. So that's why you got 3 instead of 2. Panthers just released Eric Reed. Your thoughts on him? I think that Eric Reed is a solid player. Of course, you know, I got a lot of respect for him. You know, as far as like, you know, it might not be the most popular thing to say among some of y'all, but I think standing up for what you believe in, I think that's very, very important. But I wouldn't sign him, man. I mean, he was out there getting roasted and toasted, you know what I'm saying, by Jared Cook. I mean, he was struggling out there. I think that the way that the Carolina Panthers played him, I think that that kind of hurt him. I don't think he's a traditional safety. He's almost like a Isaiah Simmons type safety. Not as fast as Isaiah Simmons is. If you don't know who Isaiah Simmons is, he's the linebacker that's going to come out of Clemson. He's probably going to be like a top 5 pick. But he's a guy that plays close to the line of scrimmage. He reminds me probably like Roman Harper. That's who he reminds me of. You know, Roman Harper struggled in coverage, but one year he led the team in sacks. He was really great when it, talking about coming off the blitz. But I think with Eric Reed, I think he struggles in coverage. But if you put him close to the line of scrimmage, I think you got yourself a short tackler. So I don't think that the way that the NFL is going right now, he can be a starter. He'll probably be a starter for a struggling team. But in my honest and humble opinion, I think that he's probably going to be in somebody's rotation. Let's see. Do you feel if we sign Reed, we move him to linebacker? Might be, I don't know, man. It's kind of late in Eric Reed's career to transition him to a linebacker position. I think that you can kind of play him, you know, as a extra linebacker or something like that. Maybe put some packages in for him. But just to turn this complete position into a linebacker, that might be a little bit tough, especially when you've been playing safety your entire career. But like I said, I got a lot of respect for Eric Reed, man. I like him a lot, but I just think that he doesn't fit the traditional mold of a safety in today's NFL. Who you think will go after Taysom? I'm thinking the Patriots. Well, you're not the only person, Mark. I think that Max Kellerman has been lobbying for that for quite some time. I think that the Patriots can go after him. It's not like the Patriots will really be losing something. I think they pick like number 22 or 23, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round. So the way that I look at it, you know, I mean, you get yourself a Taysom Hill type quarterback. You give up your first round pick. Probably not going to get no quarterback anyway, you know, especially like if you got people like Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and Tua Tagovailoa already gone. You're not going to get a franchise quarterback there. So if they decide to use that first round pick, you know, why not? But I think that the New England Patriots are probably going to go after somebody like Jameis Winston Or they probably even roll with Stidham, man. You know, they might roll with Stidham. They probably think that Stidham has what it takes in order for him to get them at least to the playoffs and win some games with him. You know, I mean, nobody really knew who Tom Brady was at one time. You know, people was talking about Drew Bledsoe. You know, you go up in there, you make the fan base believe in you. You win a couple games and, you know, you make the fan base, you know, forget as much as they can about Tom Brady because they're going to have to. It's tough, but that's the reality. Just like us with Mark Ingram, man. We love Mark Ingram, man. And I know it hurts us sometimes, especially when he runs a big game for the Baltimore Ravens. Excuse me. But, you know, time marches on and wounds heal. Let's see. Let's scroll down a little bit. Isaiah Simmons is big, strong, fast. They hype him as the next Kuechly. Yeah, I mean, he's really good, man. I mean, running a 4, what he ran, like a 4.4 or something like that, man, that guy's a freak of nature. I mean, I'm surprised. I'd be shocked if they don't put him at safety. You know, it's kind of like, man, what's that guy's name? He went to Michigan. He got drafted by the Browns, and they end up making him a safety instead of a linebacker. I can't think of his name, man, but he ended up getting traded to the Giants for Odell. I can't think of his name right now. But, yeah, I mean, he's that type of guy. I trust what you say, TJ. You haven't been wrong often in what I've seen. Me and my girl watch your show all the time. We know that as you say something that is legit. Man, look, I try. Like, for real. Like, I be trying. I be trying to be as honest as I can, man. And I try to call it for what like I see it. And I don't know, man. I just feel like sometimes, you know, people take my words sometimes as gospel or they try to, like, what they call trick you off the block, so to speak. Like, they'll say, well, you said this, well, you said that. You know, I'm like, basically, I'm just giving my honest, you know, thoughts about what makes sense to me. You know, like, and I present it. You know, I'm not saying that everything I say is right, but I call that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I call that. Jabril Peppers, thank you, man. I couldn't think of his name. You're definitely right. Jabril Peppers, thank you. I couldn't think of that guy's name for nothing, and I watched him in college. But, yeah, man, I called that. I seen that coming, and I think it's going to be it is, man. Malcolm Jenkins coming back to the Saints is going to be a very good look. It's going to be a good look, folks. For real, man. Sometimes you need that guy. I give y'all a prime example. And their play is night and day. But Darren Sharper, when he came to the New Orleans Saints, people looked at him as damaged goods. I mean, he left the Green Bay Packers. He ended up going to the Minnesota Vikings, played there a couple years. And then the Saints signed him. They looked at him as damaged goods. Nobody thought that Darren Sharper was going to play as good as he did the first year with the Saints. He led the NFL in interceptions that season with 9. And I don't think the Saints would have made the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Darren Sharper. You know, and it's not just Darren Sharper's turnovers. Everybody started to step up, man. We start seeing Tracy Porter step up. We start seeing Usama Young make some plays. We start seeing Jabari Greer play a little bit better. I mean, we start seeing Malcolm Jenkins, a young Malcolm Jenkins, have somebody he can learn from. And Roman Harper stepped up. You know, I think he was maybe in like his third or fourth year. So you need that veteran leadership. You need that lead by example type guys. You cannot, there's two things that you cannot, you know, shy away from when it comes to the NFL. Durability. Malcolm Jenkins has not missed a game in a very long time. And leadership. Those are the two things right there that all teams look for. They look for, yeah, the guy's good, but is he durable? Can he last the 16, or in this case, the 17-game season? Can he do it? That's the questions. So, no lie, I just thought Sharper was going to be an on-the-field coach. Yeah, he really stepped up. And he was on the field coach. He was. You know, he was an on-the-field coach. You know, he taught those young players, man, like, you know, how to be professionals. You got to get a man respect, you know, not what he do off the field. Like, I don't condone that. You know? Like, what he did off the field, I do not condone that. But what he did on the field, you know, you can't take away from him. But big locker room presence. Jenkins is huge in that aspect of getting the secondary pump. Yep, he's a leader, man. Can't knock that. Can't knock that leadership. You know, and I think that is his career coming full circle. Not surprising at all. Not surprised by that decision. But I am going to discuss, before I get up out of here, the available free agents. Guys that I feel like the Saints are probably going to look at. One was Malcolm Jenkins. Another person I think they're going to look at is Denard. Out of where he played for the Giants and he played also for the Detroit Lions. Kennard is a solid linebacker. He's a guy that's he reminds me a little bit. He reminds me of Thomas Davis as far as like his tackling ability, sideline to sidelines. And I think that going alongside Demario Davis, I think that he would be, pretty good. Another person is Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd from the Chicago Bears. Leonard Floyd ended up getting released because he was supposed to get $14.3 million from the Chicago Bears. And, of course, Ryan Pace, the general manager, didn't feel like he was worth that money. So he's hitting the free agent market. And he's going to be relatively cheap, man, because due to his lack of production that he had. Okay, so I think that he would be a good fit with the Saints. He's like one of those hybrid linebackers. He's also a sideline to sidelines guy. The only knock that I have on him is sometimes, man, he can get caught up in the lights sometimes, I think that he can kind of lose motivation. But I think with somebody like Demario Davis, Kiko Alonso, guys like that can kind of motivate this guy to live out his true and full potential on that. And as far as the wide receiver position, there's only two guys that I would think that the Saints would want to look at. One would be Geronimo Allison from the Green Bay Packers, 6'4", about 215 pounds. Made some good plays, did some decent things. We're not looking, in my opinion, for a number 2 receiver in free agency. We're looking for a guy that can be a good possession guy, somebody that can come in, probably catch, maybe like 3 or 4 passes a game, and, maybe have a big game every now and then as well. Geronimo is a big body. He can help out in the red zone. We've seen like somebody like Brandon Coleman and what he did in the red zone, his last year with the New Orleans Saints. I think Geronimo can kind of do the same thing. Geronimo is a little bit faster than Michael Thomas, and I think that he would be, pretty good. Another person is Tajay Sharp. Tajay Sharp played for the Tennessee Titans last season. He's a guy that's a little bit faster. He probably had the same similar speed of a Traquan Smith. Me personally, I think that he would fit really well with the Saints. He probably can be that third down guy that we've been missing since Willie Snead. He's a guy that can move the chains, and he's fearless, man. He's not afraid to go over the middle and catch that ball in the slot. He's not afraid to try to fight for extra yards, and he can run some really good post and out routes, which is something that the Saints lack. And the most important thing, he can get away from press coverage, which that's something that the Saints have been struggling with their receivers. For the exception of Michael Thomas, it seems like nobody can get away from press coverage or bump and run. Solid middle linebacker Kennard Floyd could be another Scott Fajita. Yeah, Floyd, he probably can be better than Scott Fajita though, man. He probably can. Like when he's motivated, he can be among the best. I think he suffers from the same thing that Marshawn Lattimore does sometimes. Marshawn Lattimore has all the tools to be great, but sometimes, he get a little lazy. Geronimo name alone will make him a folk hero for us, for real. Just got an update, Malcolm Jenkins nearing the Saints. Sound good to me. But anyway, those are some of the guys that I feel like the Saints need to go after. There's some of the guys I think they need to go after, but I think they need to find their number 2 in the draft. You find yourself a number 2 in the draft because you can develop a guy, make him really good, okay, and then you don't have to pay him for about 3 or 4 years, so you get that production for at least 3 to 4 years before you even thinking about paying him. And if he's a first-round pick, you can put a 5th-year option on him, so get about 4 or 5 years of production if you get the right guy. But that's all I got, man. Thank y'all very much for your questions. Thank you for taking your lunch break and spending it with yours truly. And, the State of the Saints podcast is available on YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. YouTube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Man, y'all check it out. The live shows on YouTube, man. Not only do y'all get a chance to chat, but you get a chance to call in. You can ask these questions, man. You can call in. You can talk a little bit about the Saints. You can vent your frustrations. That's what I'm really excited about coming into the season. Getting people's perspective, in real time during games and also after the games, man. That's what I'm really looking forward to. But the State of the Saints podcast is available on YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you can get the notifications on your phone or your iPads whenever I upload a video. And thank you all very much. Once again, this is the State of the Saints podcast. My name is TJ Jones. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?